Hello! The Lord gives us commandments and asks us to obey. And when He does, I say, I will go, I will do the thing the Lord commands. I know the Lord provides a way He wants me to obey. I will go, I will do the thing the Lord commands. I know the Lord provides a way He wants me to obey. Some of the things that the Lord commands us to do or asks us to do are for everyone. They're the same for all of us. And there are other things that He gives us specifically and asks us specifically to do. Last fall, October, our prophet, President Russell Nelson, gave a talk at our general conference, like I've talked about before. He gave a talk called The Second Great Commandment. And if you're familiar with the commandments, the first great commandment is to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, might, mind, and strength. And the second is like unto it, to love thy neighbor as thyself. That's a general commandment for everyone. And he shared about, he talked a little bit about what individuals in the church are doing, just a few stories of ways that they're helping. And then he shared about some of the general things that the church is doing. And it made me really happy to belong to a church that assists in so many good projects, and that I get to pay tithes, I get to pay fast offerings, and I can pay other offerings to go toward humanitarian assistance in a wide variety of endeavors. But I also kept thinking about the individual things. For several years now, I've been trying to figure out what the Lord wants me to do with the time and the talents and the many things that He's given me. I use some of them for work and some of them for church, but a lot is not really used. I feel like I have a lot of talents and other gifts just lying around, not really doing much. And it's something I've been trying to figure out for several years now. I've volunteered with so many things I cannot keep up with them, but they're still not really using what I have to give. So this has bothered me. And when he read his talk, I continued to think about it. And he shared something there that kind of got to the crux of my concerns. He said, giving help to others, making a conscientious effort to care about others as much as or more than we care about ourselves, is our joy, especially, I might add, when it is not convenient and when it takes us out of our comfort zone. Living that second great commandment is the key to becoming a true disciple of Jesus Christ. And this is what I was feeling. I do lots of good things, but they don't necessarily inconvenience me or take me out of my comfort zone. So that I had heard and read, and it was on my mind. And then a few weeks later, I was fasting, and I had the impression that now might be the time to foster. And so some background on that. I have often been interested in fostering children. It's not like a huge desire I've had, but it's something that's come across my mind. And over the last several months, I've thought about why that is and where that came from. And I don't know. The grandmother that I'm named after, my grandmother Ruth, she, after welcoming 13 children through birth into her home, she chose to adopt a little boy who needed a family. And I grew up with my uncle, and I knew that all my life. Since then, I've heard other stories of her and my grandfather and how they fostered, not legally, but just through the true meaning of the word foster. They loved and supported other people. So there was that. That was part of I've known all my life. And another time I remember as a teenager going to Aunt Lori and Uncle Thad's house, and Aunt Lori talking about some of the children that she was fostering. Of course, one of my very favorite series of books is Anne of Green Gables, which is a classic fostering story. Several scripture stories are fostering situations. So there were all these different things, but I knew they were there, but I planned on having my own children, so it wasn't like a huge deal. But in the fall of 2009, so a little over 10 years ago, I lived in an area, in a ward, in a stake, a part of the church, where they really focused on fostering, encouraging families to look into fostering if that fit. And I learned more about it, and I remember thinking that would be a really wonderful thing. At that point, I was several years into working with domestic violence situations and abuse situations. And so I think even more, I was just like, that would be a really neat thing to do sometime. But at that point, I was barely feeding myself and sheltering myself, kind of, sort of. And so it wasn't that a time, but it was kind of like someday when my life is more stable, that might be something to look into. Then about a year and a half ago, I looked into it pretty seriously and thought, no, that just didn't really feel right then. But in November, almost exactly 6 months ago, this week, I was fasting and I felt like, I think now might be the time. And the more I thought about it, the happier I felt, the way that happens when we receive personal revelation. So I learned more and went to orientation and started the process. And I came out of orientation with a lot of questions answered. I'd written all these questions down. I came out with them answered. And I felt like I should at least take the next step. I don't know what will ultimately happen, but I'm ready to take the next step. And it was at that time that I read this quote again and again and again. Giving help to others, making a conscientious effort to care about others as much as or more than we care about ourselves is our joy. Especially, I might add, when it is not convenient and when it takes us out of our comfort zone. And so I started the process of becoming licensed to become a foster care provider. And it was exciting and scary. And I would say to people all the time, I'm equal parts excited and terrified. And I talked to various different people and shared and went through the process. And one of the things really early on, shortly, probably after I came out of that licensing meeting, was just a conversation with the Lord many times where I said, if this is the right thing for me to do, I need your help, because there's some things I just don't know what to do or how to do them. And he has helped me. He's answered prayers from the most mundane to the bigger little things, like where to put the fire hydrant, where it's visible but not in the way, to spiritual revelation about how to handle certain things. And I'm just going to share a couple of the examples of how the Lord provides a way. One of my concerns was needing some backup care because I don't have any family close by and I'm just one person. And so if something happens to me or I need to travel for work or something else, what am I going to do? Who am I going to call? And so that was one of the things I took to the Lord. And I kind of made a list of everyone that I could think of who lived close to me that I felt kind of close enough to say, hi, this is my problem. I want to share my problem with you and make it your problem. Because that's how I kind of look at it. And I had a list and no one just felt right. Their circumstances or different things. But there were a couple of people I was going to talk to and ask. And a few days later, I'm still praying about this, thinking about it. And a few days later, my brother and sister-in-law were coming for Thanksgiving, and I wanted to get a baby chair that I had borrowed before for their daughter. And so I texted a friend of mine and said, can I use your baby chair? And she said, sure. And as I was thinking of preparing to go to her house, I realized she would be the perfect person. Now, she lives a little bit far from me. She lives about 25 to 30 minutes in the best of traffic situations. And so she wasn't even in my radar. But I just knew she's perfect. She used to be a school nurse and she has children and grandchildren and just a lot of circumstances. I don't have to tell her whole life story, but she was just perfect. And so when I went to her house to pick up the baby chair, I started to explain, and I started with this caveat of, you don't have to say yes. And I started to explain, and I couldn't even finish before she said, yes, you don't have to apologize about it. Yes, I would love to. And so she's my official care person for if I ever travel for work, which isn't a problem right now, but if that ever happens, she would be able to come and take care of a child that was here. So that was one thing where I just felt very distinctly I took something to the Lord that I just didn't have an answer for and I needed, and he told me. Well, fast forward to the end of February, middle of February, Valentine's Day, everything was cleared. I was just waiting for the last few pieces of paperwork from DSS, which is South Carolina's Department of Social Services or whatever. And I was supposed to be licensed by the end of February is what the social worker was projecting. But a supervisor got sick and was on sick leave, and then all of a sudden the world fell apart. And so for 2 months, my licensing process just totally got put on hold. So I haven't really thought about it and worried about it much in the last couple months. There's nothing else on my plate, so whatever, it's out there. I'll deal with it and think about it again. There were days and even weeks when I kind of forgot all about it. So last week, the social worker reached out to me, and so I knew she was working on it again, but then I didn't hear anything from her. So one of the few things that I haven't gotten taken care of, I mean, there are lots of things along the way. When the time actually comes, there will be lots of pieces. When a child's actually here, there will be lots of pieces to take care of. And there are unknowns that I can't take care of. But the big things I have in place that I need, except for a child seat. Whatever you call those seats you put in the car for a child. What I was really trying to say is that the last thing that I really needed in order to be ready for a child to come at any moment was a booster seat for my car. And I'd tried to find one, a few different avenues, and really had never gotten any traction on it. And wasn't super worried about it, but I knew I needed to do that. And so yesterday morning, when I went on my walk in the morning, just a few houses down from mine, there was the perfect booster seat put out for the trash collection. It was dirty, kind of gross, but I brought it home, sprayed it off, washed it in the washing machine. It actually looks really nice. It's in great condition. And I felt like it just came down out of the windows of heaven, as so many things do when we trust the Lord. And I thought as I was washing it in the morning, excuse me, I have a car seat now and I'm going to get licensed today. And sure enough, a few hours later, the social worker called and I am licensed to be a foster care provider. And the Lord provides a way. So it's been a long video. You can get off now if you want to, but I am going to sing the rest of the song for if there are any children who've been sitting around waiting for me to sing. I'm going to sing the full song of what I sang at the beginning. It's the story of a man named Nephi who was asked to do hard things, and his brothers didn't think they were possible, but he knew they were, because when the Lord gives a commandment, he also provides ways for those things to come for us to do those things. The Lord commanded Nephi to go and get the plates from the wicked Laban inside the city gates. Laman and Lemuel were both afraid to try. Nephi was courageous, this was his reply. I will go, I will do the thing the Lord commands. I know the Lord provides a way, he wants me to obey. I will go, I will do the thing the Lord commands. I know the Lord provides a way, he wants me to obey. The Lord commanded Nephi to go and build a boat. Nephi's older brothers believed it would not float. Laughing and mocking, they said he should not try. Nephi was courageous, this was his reply. I will go, I will do the thing the Lord commands. I know the Lord provides a way, he wants me to obey. I will go, I will do the thing the Lord commands. I know the Lord provides a way, he wants me to obey. The Lord gives us commandments and asks us to obey. Sometimes I am tempted to choose another way. When I'm discouraged and think I cannot try, I will be courageous and I will reply. I will go, I will do the thing the Lord commands. I know the Lord provides a way. He wants me to obey. I will go, I will do the thing the Lord commands. I know the Lord provides a way. He wants me to obey. And He will help you obey whatever He's commanding you to do. Love you. Have a good night.